I think it ends up making them look older. Like Alex Earl, I don't know if you guys, you know who she is now.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like she's in her 30s, but she's only like 22.
Yes.
So it's good that you're thinking of lasers and not always injectables, because the more Botox you do, the more you're going to... Welcome to the More Than a Pretty Face podcast, where we go more than skin deep to explore the science of beauty so you can feel your best at any age. I'm Dr. Azadeh Shirazi, a board-certified dermatologist and founder of Azi and Nurse Skincare, and this is Nurse Lacie, my co-host. What is going on with the sunglasses? I feel like I should hand you a martini.
Yeah, I would love a martini right now.
But maybe you have them on because the future is bright?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The future's so bright right now. I just needed my shades. No, remember we did a treatment on Friday around my eyes.
Oh,
but that's my beauty and
right,
blemish. So you'll see more later.
Now it's coming together. It's making sense.
Yes. Well, like you said, it's the end of the year. It's a perfect time to reflect and think about your goals and the person you want to become. So I like to say, if your vision board is full of glassy, glowing skin, then this is the perfect episode for you, because we're talking about manifesting the perfect skin for 2024.
I'm a big manifester. I mean, I love daydreaming.
Yes, you do.
I don't know about you guys, but so do you have a New Year's resolution, a goal, or anything you want to share with everyone?
My resolution or goal would be to treat myself more, because I don't. We get busy and then we think like, I don't know, we'll do it later, or I'll do that.
Well, we did that on Friday.
I know. I know.
You didn't treat yourself, so I decided to treat for you. Okay, with that said, let's jump into beauty and blemish and tell everybody the reason that your future is bright with those glasses on.
Okay, so for those of you watching or listening, we did the Agnes RF around my under eyes.
I think it's looking really great.
It looks great.
I think you're very puffy, and mind you, inflammation peaks at day 2 to 4. So if you have a treatment of any kind, don't be surprised if, hey, you're looking good day 1, not too bad day 2, and day 3, oh my goodness, you look your worst. That is because of that peak.
Especially around the eyes.
Now, because this was RF microneedling, you are not oozy and you don't have open skin like you would with a CO2 laser, right?
Yes.
So that's a beauty in the blemish.
Well, for those of you that, have been longtime listeners, of my eye phobia. So in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, we can do this. We're just going to treat like the wrinkles down here. And as soon as you started numbing up the area, I'm like, what am I doing? She's going to go full board with this.
You did great with your eye phobia. I think we are starting to harden the eye phobia, and I think by the end of 2024, the eye phobia is going to be gone. We're going to do an eye lift on you, an upper blepharoplasty by the end of 2024. That's my prediction.
Okay, those are some goals. Those are my New Year's goals. How about you? Do you have a beauty and blemish?
I would say my blemish is, I had a patient come in last week. I don't know if you saw her, but she had seen online of people using a candle, like the flames of a candle.
You're already going in the wrong direction with this. What did she do?
To remove earwax from her ear. She'd seen these videos online where they use the heat from the candle to extract out the earwax.
That's actually a very old tradition.
Yeah?
Yeah. I remember watching my godmother do this to her children.
Really?
At a young age. And I was just like, oh, no. No.
We were cowboys and cowgirls back then.
The hillbilly traditions.
Yeah. Well, it's not a good idea because she came in with a pretty significant burn.
Oh, no.
That we are now treating. I would advise against this. Have
my
you
gosh.
also seen people do this to hair?
I hope not. No.
It's called valoterapia, actually.
What?
What?
Say that.
Valitrapia. You've never...
Valitrapia. It
Yeah.
sounds
So
like a
it's...
fish.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of using a, well, not sort of, it is using a candle or a lighter a lot of people use to burn off split ends. And because the split end of the hair is sort of sticking out like that, it catches the candle. And they move it really fast. And the videos actually look quite scary. I think a lot of them are posted from like foreign countries because I don't, hopefully no one in the US is doing this, but they, using flames, similarly, but not a good idea. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about what do you do if you get a burn on your skin, right?
Yes.
That happens to almost all of us at some point in life, whether you're cooking or, you burn yourself with a curling iron. What do you do?
Notorious curling irons. I feel like we see that a lot.
One thing that people have the inclination to do, which you should not do, is put ice on it. Right? Because people say, okay, it's hot. I got to ice it.
Yes.
No. Wrong. You will only cause further injury to the skin cells and make the burn worse.
Because it's like an ice burn, right?
That's right.
Because you're going to freeze that. Yes.
Yeah. And then the level of burn, there's like 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree. Well, the 1st and 2nd degree burns are in general more superficial. If your burn has no sensation of pain, like it doesn't hurt, you're in trouble because you have burned through the layer of dermis, which is the deeper layer of the skin, and that's where all the nerves are. So if you have a burn and you have no sensation, go to the ER ASAP.
Yes, that's not good.
Going back to the other thing you should not do is when people get a burn and they get a blister, it's very common for them to want to
pop it,
and you don't want to pop the blister. And the reason being is that blister, the roof and the fluid that's over that wound is nature's best wound dressing. We cannot, even the best dermatologists cannot recreate that wound dressing like your natural skin. So let that blister stay intact. Do not pop it. Protect it at all costs.
I know, it's hard not to.
Because all that's going to do eventually is that blister will deflate on its own, and you'll preserve the roof, that skin that's there. But if you didn't listen to this podcast and you popped the blister already, well, now you have to really protect it, and using a heavy occlusive like Aquaphor or Vaseline to the area is the best thing for it, but not right away. Let the area cool down. And we said no ice, but you should run it over cold or room temperature water. And then once it's cooled down a little bit, you can apply an occlusive to protect it, and then use a bandage.
Not while it's hot and on fire.
You want to let the heat dissipate a little bit, because if you apply an occlusive like Aquaphor Vaseline right after the burn without letting it cool down, you're really going to trap that heat. So using like a cooling gel like aloe is a good idea, or just running it under water will dissipate that heat. So then you can go in with a skin protectant. Do not use Neosporin. People love Neosporin. People love hydrogen peroxide, okay? Do not use those, okay? You don't necessarily need something, strong like that. Just a little Vaseline, something that's ointment based that's heavy is sufficient.
And a lot of people don't know the reason why, right? So hydrogen peroxide, I'm sorry, I can't speak today. Hydrogen peroxide kind of
is caustic. It's not great for skin cells. I personally favor hypochlorous acid, and there is a company that makes a product called Skin Smart, and it's hypochlorous acid, and they make different dilution, whether it's for wounds or eczema or even acne. It is so gentle. It's actually even gentle to use around your eyes. So if you happen to get like a burn around your eyes, definitely don't use hydrogen peroxide, okay? Hypochlorous acid is safe around the eyes. Or just, a little soap and water. Just dial liquid soap and water is all you really need. Keep it covered. Generally, the skin will heal at about 7 to 10 days is when the skin re-epithelializes. And you want to keep it moist as much as possible, because skin cells actually heal the fastest in a moist environment. And obviously don't expose it to the sun,
Right.
Because it delays healing, it can cause hyperpigmentation and so forth.
Yes.
So I hope that was helpful. I thought I would just take that opportunity to
Yes.
educate you guys about the do's and don'ts of burns, because it is something very common that happens.
Yes, it is. Now let's jump into Ask Dr. Azi, a segment where we answer your questions, our listeners.
Yes, I love hearing from you guys. So if you guys are on social, follow us on More Than a Pretty Face Podcast Instagram. You can also send me a DM at Skin by Dr. Azi. Or if you're not on social, email us at morethanaprettyfacepodcast@gmail.com. Remember, this podcast is for you, and we are so appreciative of your listenership and your support and your subscriptionship. So sharing is caring. Share this with a friend. It's what keeps the podcast going.
Yes. So today I thought it'd be fun to take questions from TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So this
I love my TikTok community.
Yes. So the first one says, Dr. Shirazi, what is the best face fillers for face slimming? I lost a lot of weight in 2023, but my face still looks puffy.
Okay, so slimming of the face and fillers are sort of antagonistic.
Opposite,
Yeah, they're kind of like an oxymoron. So remember, fillers are materials, gel like hyaluronic acid or fat, that are used to add volume to the face. So if you're trying to slim the face, you should not look for fillers, right?
No.
It depends on where you are puffy. Like a lot of people are puffy, for example, around the eyes, and some people are puffy like in the cheek area. Now you're 33, and the good news is your face is actually going to naturally slim starting in your early 30s, and that's why a lot of people look more slim and lean as they get older, is because our natural fat pads will go away on their own. Now, what can you do? There are RF microneedling devices like the Agnes that can target the fat that's under the skin without surgery. And you can literally hear it sizzle.
Yes.
Like it melts the fat. It's the craziest thing. I personally
enjoy it.
probably would not do this on the face, because you're going to want your fat pads as you get older. You're going to lose them naturally. Now, you can certainly use fillers to sculpt the face. That's different. Or you can use Botox to reduce muscle size. So Botox is a medication that's injected into the muscle, and it stops the muscle from contracting. And just like any other muscle, when you don't use it, you lose it. So if you want to slim, for example, the cheeks down, then using Botox in the masseters helps do that. And we have actually a great picture of you.
Of me, yeah.
Where we were doing Botox for clenching, right? And then after a year or two, it really slimmed
It
your
really
face.
did. We weren't trying to. It was just something that was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and lastly, I will mention a video that's on YouTube that I used Kybella to melt fat. It did not work. I did it very conservatively. It was off-label, and I kind of wish I never posted that video. But it's not something I would recommend. Again, I don't know how old you are. I said 33, but that was a mistake. But generally, you are gonna slim your face after your,
I almost
early
wondered
30s.
too, when you say that, your face is still puffy, I wonder, like, have you done fillers, and how often? Because puffy, to me, I always picture the pillow face whenever I hear puffy.
Yes, because hyaluronic acid-based fillers draw a lot of water to the area, right? And a lot of people think, well, I have dark circles, I have puffy eye bags, I'm going to do filler to treat it. Wrong. You're going to do filler and make that puffiness worse.
Yes.
So be cautious with hyaluronic acid fillers. They do eventually, over time, attract water, and as they break down, they can cause this chronic inflammation that can give you this kind of doughy look to the skin.
What are some things that create an illusion of a slim face?
Well, contouring, right? There is actually a dermatologist online. It's a man, and he gives pointers.
Why are you so excited about this?
Because it's such a creative, clever thing where actually we should have him on the podcast. He messaged me earlier about lasers, but where you can highlight and shadow to create the illusion of depth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we also look at that when we are using fillers in someone. So when I talked about sculpting with fillers, and you can use ones that are not hyaluronic acid based, so they don't make you puffy, something like a Radiesse. I love for the cheeks, the jawline, or even Volux, which is very firm. It's a new filler. But we could certainly give dimensions to the face, but I guess it doesn't slim the face, but it can give you
Yeah.
the illusion, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Our next question, she writes in, I have horrible puffy eyes on top and bottom. I'd like to look awake in 2024. Is filler my only option or surgery? What would you suggest?
Yes, here we go again. The fillers for the option of puffy
Mm-hmm.
eyes. Don't make the mistake of substituting filler for treatment of dark circles. It's not always the case, or puffiness. Well, I like to look at the patient holistically, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
look at your lifestyle. Let's look at your diet. Let's look at, what you're doing, what medications you're on, because a lot of medications can make people look puffy. One being minoxidil, which has been very popular in our practice for hair growth. And it can actually hold on to water. Two, diets that are high in salt or sugar or
Mm-hmm.
alcohol
Yes.
can really make the skin around the eyes hold on to water. And this is something you really notice in the morning when you first wake up, because
Absolutely.
when you're sleeping, when you're laying down, all the fluid kind of gets trapped in that
Yes.
area. So the eyes are the first ones to really
Mm-hmm.
notice, the puffiness.
Yes.
And so I would say, first thing, drink a full, 12-ounce glass of water the first thing you do when you wake up. Because if you think about it, you've been, without water for, 8-10 hours. And so that water helps flush out the excess salts and electrolytes that are making you puffy. So that would be number one.
Mm-hmm. What's number two?
Number two is something you can do easily is I like to make this concoction.
Of course you do.
I'm
Tell us more.
usually not a DIY person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in like modern medicine and like, modern skincare products.
Sure.
But if you have the time and you find this enjoyable, you can take black tea, which is rich in caffeine, and soak some cucumbers in the black tea and put it in the refrigerator.
Okay.
And so once it's chilled, you can actually add a splash of honey in there too, because honey is anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
Don't drink it
Oh,
though, okay?
okay.
You're not going to drink it. You're going
Of
to take
course
the
not.
cucumbers that's been marinating in the caffeine and apply it to your eyes.
The sticky cucumbers.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sticky. Are they sticky? I don't think they would be sticky.
The honey.
Just a little bit of honey, yeah, but I get it. So the cucumbers help hydrate the skin,
Mm-hmm.
and then the caffeine from the tea help draw out the water that's getting trapped around your eyes. So try that. And the cold is great because it's anti-inflammatory.
How soon do you see the results?
Well, these are a number of things you want to do together, right? The other thing I like to do is take iGlow AM, which comes with a cooling tip. Can you hand me an iGlow AM? Because I really want to demonstrate this.
I do love it. I glow AM.
Lymphatic drainage is another technique. Lymphatic massage you can do in the morning. And I do this every morning when I use my iGlow, because it has a cooling tip already, and it has a little peptide serum you can squeeze out. And the cooling tip is great at helping with that lymphatic drainage. So you can see it's got a little cooling tip,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a color corrector, which also is an SPF, because I'm lazy and I like. So you take this. Oh, I think I put too much.
You did.
So then, I don't know if you guys can use this, but I kind of firm pressure like this, and you want to start from the inner corner of the eyes and just draw the fluid out, because this is where it gets trapped.
Up here too.
Yeah, and then you can take it the same way and just move. What you're doing is essentially moving that fluid out of the way. I mean, you could use a cold spoon too, but
Yeah.
the metal is cooling. I like this. I like iGlow AM because of the peptide serum and the fact that it's a color corrector. Did I screw up my makeup?
No. But one thing to note.
But I really wanted to demonstrate that lymphatic massage really helps with getting rid of that fluid.
Mm-hmm. And what I was
morning.
going to say is, a lot of times we get patients that are like, oh, this isn't my color. Or not just patients, but, customers. This isn't my color. I don't, they don't understand it's
It's
meant
a color
to.
corrector. It's meant to
Mm-hmm.
mask dark circles. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
one of our reviewers said that this was very similar to Bobbi Brown's color corrector because it's supposed to have this
Oh.
copper color.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they said it was even better than the Bobbi Brown color corrector. So
Hey.
you can wear your concealer on top of this because it's not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to match your color.
Yeah, it's not supposed to.
What other things you can do? You can use a caffeine based eye product at night, like Eye Glow PM has caffeine in it. You want to use a lighter formulations like gel based, not heavy creams, because the
Mm-hmm.
heavy creams can really work against you when you have puffiness. If you chronically have puffy eyes, then you may have eye bags or fat pads that swell and give you that puffiness. And obviously, surgical removal or repositioning of those fat pads
Mm-hmm.
is the best permanent long-term effect. But you can also use, we have a RF microneedling device, which you had done, but we did just skin for you. But we
Yeah.
can melt the fat without without really cutting the skin.
Mm-hmm.
So the needle goes in and you can just see that fat sizzle. So it's a non-surgical option for reducing eye bags.
You will still similarly look like this post-treatment,
Right.
but your swelling expected to peak between 2 to 4 days.
Yes,
Like
it gets
this.
better. It does
It
get
always
better.
gets worse before it gets better. So trust the process.
Yes. And then what, did I leave out anything else that you could do? We talked about
Procedures, and we talked about surgery. And what about Exilus? Like, what about just doing
So
that?
Exilus is a radio frequency ultrasound. These energy devices help tighten the skin, and they can help to a degree because part of the puffiness is as we age, the skin gets looser. So whenever you get fluid, it just expands, right? If you're like, look at my daughter, she's got this tight skin, and at age of 15 or 16. But as we get older, that skin stretches. So when the fluid gets in it, it can stretch. So yes, theoretically, using like a retinol-based eye cream or radio frequency tightening can help with that firmness.
We do get a lot of inquiries too with patients that have like the swelling or, fat pads, and they want to see if they're a good candidate for eye glow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how would you explain who a good candidate is?
Well, eye glow can
listeners.
help mask the eye bags. So depending on the severity and your circumstance, because not everybody wants to have surgery or maybe can afford to have surgery, but eye glow is a white opaque filler that helps lift the under eyes, because a lot of times the eye bags look more pronounced because you have volume loss under that eye bag that creates a trough, right? It creates a depression and it makes the eye bag look more pronounced. Well, if we lift that area under the eye bag, if you can imagine filling in that valley under the eye bag, it almost masks it. It looks like you don't have an eye bag. And we have a lot of examples of this on the website. It's good for somebody who hasn't had a lot of fillers, because if you've had fillers in there already, adding more filler can make you look more puffy. And you really have to have an area where we can fill in order to mask the eye bag. So it is a great treatment. It's a 10-minute non-surgical treatment that lasts for many years. So, and a lot of my patients that don't want surgery are really happy with that. So eye glow could potentially work for that. Now, speaking of eye glow, at Azi MD Skincare, we have Eye Glow PM, which is a eye cream with caffeine to help with puffiness. It also has retinol in it, which helps with collagen stimulation, fine lines, niacinamide, and vitamin C to brighten the skin, as well as arnica and vitamin K to help with venous pooling, which contributes to dark circles. Now through January 31st, 2024, you can use New Year 15 to get 15% off individual products at AziMDskincare.com. If you're looking for a regimen or a duo, they're already 15% off too, but make sure to use New Year 15 to get 15% off of our individual best-selling products like Pout Plump 30, which is one of my favorites, the One Spray, now through January 31st, 2024 at AziMDskincare.com. Again, that code is New Year 15 to get 15% off. Only for podcast listeners, because we're so grateful to you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, our last question. I am only 33, but I want to look like I'm 20 again. What laser should I do before I come out of hiding this spring?
I love it. Well, 33 is so young.
It really is. It really is.
So, I mean, I have to say, I see a lot of people in their 20s that do so much, like they do so much Botox and fillers, that I think it ends up making them look older. Like Alex Earl, I don't know if you guys, you know who she is now.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like she's in her 30s, but she's only like 22.
Yes.
So it's good that you're thinking of lasers and not always injectables, because the more Botox you do, the more you're going to, atrophy your muscle, and the older you might end up looking. So that's good that you're really thinking, about lasers to enhance the quality of your skin, because a lot of times people in their 30s can get a lot of weathering from sun damage, so they can get discoloration, broken capillaries, and that can really make you look so much older. So what laser really depends on what you have on your skin and your skin type, right?
Yes, and you're the laser queen, so I think it would be perfect if you described like minimal to most aggressive lasers for us.
I love that. Okay, well, do you want me to give you like a caffeine version, like chamomile tea to double shot of espresso, or you want like Prosecco to like a double shot of whiskey?
Oh yeah, the whiskey.
So the BBL, really not much downtime. You can wear makeup the next day, and because there's no, cuts or breaks in the skin.
No
and
true
no
downtime.
true downtime.
Yeah.
So like after a week, a lot of my patients say they don't feel like they need to wear makeup. Your skin quality is so much better. Your pores are better. Your discoloration, that weathering is gone. So that would be Prosecco or like a light beer.
Yes.
And then we're going to get into the Profractional, which is a resurfacing treatment. But Profractional is fractionated. So when people talk about fractionated lasers, that means that the laser doesn't treat the entire surface of the skin. It treats it in fractions. So it leaves some skin intact so that they help regenerate the healing skin. Therefore, the recovery is much faster.
Yes.
So we could do a 2 or 3 day downtime, with Profractional.
Yeah.
We could do a 7-day, 5 to 7 day. But I call it the cold laser, and that's why the healing is so much faster.
Yes.
You've had the Profractional.
I love it. I love it. Patients ask me all the time, like, what's your go-to or what would you recommend? And I always say a combination of the BBL and the Profractional to really like optimize your results. But the Profractional itself, I think I had ointment on for maybe 3 days. It's hot just like any other laser where you feel like you've been in the sun for a little too long. But that goes away usually after a few hours. Yeah. It does not last long. You get a flush of heat the very next day that you wash your face, but it goes away super quick. And then,
doesn't your skin your skin feels rough, and then it kind of has this brown coating, like it looks dirty.
Yes. So you get
dirty brown coating.
Yeah, the mens, like where the laser breaks through the skin.
Not technically mens, but where the laser and the tissue interact, the little black dots. Yeah.
Oh, correct me. What is mens?
So mens is more with the non-ablative resurfacing. It's the columns that the non-ablative, like the halo.
Oh,
the mens
okay.
are generally referred to as the dots,
like microscopic.
with Fraxel or with halo.
Oh, okay.
Which brings me to maybe a martini if you want to do the halo.
Yeah,
because halo is really
martini
2 lasers.
For sure.
So 2 lasers in one is the halo. It has the Profractional, which is very superficial, and then it has this other component which goes deeper into the skin, and that's where you see the mens.
Yes.
So it doesn't do anything to the surface of the skin, but treats deep below the skin surface.
Okay.
And with halo, we can again customize it, but I would say that's more like a vodka martini, where you're swollen and red for 3 days. And then it takes about 5 days for those mens to, come off. But really such an amazing treatment for tone, texture, sun damage, just smoothing, what you say?
Yeah, I was going to say swelling can last a little longer than a couple of days with that because of that extra laser that goes down deep to really heat up your collagen. It's spicy.
Well, let me say, so a lot of people say, I don't want to do lasers because they melt my fat. Because you touched on the heat, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, not possible.
I said collagen, though. I didn't say fat.
Yes. And that's the thing is that
don't come for me.
Lasers are light-based, and, they have a specific wavelength of light. And you have to understand that that wavelength of light cannot penetrate beyond the dermis. Your fat is below the dermal layer, so there is absolutely no way the laser light can reach that far. Now, a lot of times people have that confusion because of energy-based devices. So radio frequency, ultrasound, those devices could potentially, melt your fat because they are heat-based. So it's really important to keep that separate. Now,
Yes.
I do talk about the CO2 laser, which is now we're getting into the shot of tequila at this point, the CO2 laser. It's not for everyone. It does a beautiful job of tightening, smoothing the laser. There's the skin. There's really nothing like it. Those results are so dramatic. And if you have loose skin, a lot of lines, and want texture improvement, it's really the Bugatti of lasers when it comes to acne scarring, or the tequila of lasers, I should say, since we're talking about alcohol. And so that is a great treatment for somebody who has, looser skin, is fair skinned, because along with heat comes hyperpigmentation.
Yep.
And yes, if you do turn up that laser really high, or you use a device like the plasma, have you ever heard of that? That's like a blowtorch. It's not a laser. Okay, not a laser. But now you can really melt the skin with that, but not really with the CO2. You'd have to be extremely inexperienced and just crank that watts up the power on that. Like,
that doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. So so this whole notion of lasers melting fat is not true. But the CO2 is more aggressive. You really have to choose your operator wisely. There are CO2s that are not as intense. Again, we can control the settings.
Right.
But the CO2 is definitely one of the more powerful tools that we use.
I mean, you can control settings on any of the devices.
You can have complications with any of these lasers, by the way, too.
Yes.
So be mindful of that when you're treating, or you're seeking out for treatment. Even in the best of hands, there's possibility for complications, but the key here is to know how to manage that complications. Like if we did treatment on you and something didn't go exactly as we planned, well, we know how to intervene. We know what the possible causes would be, and we know how to treat it so that you don't end up with a worse outcome than you would. So
yes.
And then, so should we get to the double shot of whiskey now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so then we're talking about fully ablative. We're not talking about fractionated anymore. We're like taking the
scaring
laser
small
beam,
children.
Scaring small children. We are just, I'm getting hot and sweating, actually, as we're talking about this.
You're just so excited about these lasers.
And I'm wearing this big sweater. Anyway, so now we're talking about fully ablative laser where we really can sculpt the skin. It's great for somebody who's got those deep, deep lines, those deep smoker lines. There's really nothing like it. And it is a very powerful treatment with very dramatic results. So I like to combine that with a CO2 or a fractional for best results. So yeah. Did I
I think we got hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah. I'm sweating now. So hot. That's hot.
That's hot.
I'm a Paris Hilton.
That's hot.
By the way, speaking of Paris Hilton, did you see?
No.
She has like all these devices in her house. I'm gonna go.
Wait, what?
I'm gonna go stalk her account and find this laser room, this treatment room.
She has a treatment room.
She has a treatment room.
How nice.
So, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get jealous because it took me like a lot of time to build my treatment room. I want to see what her treatment room looks like. So, stay tuned on that. I think I'm gonna make a video on it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I'm gonna have to go Google it now.
Yep. All right, guys. Remember, it is your listenership and your subscriptionship that keeps the podcast going. So if you enjoy it, share it with a friend, comment below. We would love to hear from you. If you have something to say, write us a review.
But before we go,
Yes.
what was your favorite memory of this year?
Oh my gosh,
We
there's so many.
we can't end the episode without our memories.
Oh, okay. So favorite one. That's a hard one. I would say getting my devices, I would say.
I mean, I guess that's a good one. You
Yeah.
get excited with every device you get. You do.
Yeah.
You're like a little
unboxing.
kid in a
Yeah.
candy store.
What about you?
My favorite memory is when you did the Morpheus 8 on your neck with no numbing.
Oh my God. And I'm not a fan of Morpheus 8. It's like sticking a branding iron under your skin and firing it. And then you get those twitches,
I may or may not have a video.
Okay, we'll have to post that to our stories. But that was funny for you, but
Yes.
kind of scary for me.
I guess my favorite memories are always you just practicing on yourself, or not practicing, but like treating yourself.
I usually use my arm. If you look on the inside of my arm, I'll do like test spots
Yes.
on it because, that's
You're like
how
a little mad
I've become like a mad
scientist.
But yeah, so good times.
Good times.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining
Bye.
us. Happy New Year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I'm waiting for the punchback.
I was
getting it.
I wasn't sure where you're going because you took
setting it
my
up,
line.
but there's no.
You
there's
always
no,
take my lines.
Well, because you don't talk. You have to talk. You got to get in there. If there's silence,
I
I'm
thought
gonna
we
take
were
over.
still talking
I'm
about
gonna
my
take over.
glasses. Okay, fine. I'll take my glasses off.